people can apply it and they could win to have sessions with you?
It's just this really lovely capturing of moments situation and time connecting with me.
Will this be a new experience for you?
I'm a cruise virgin.
What are the big and small moments that you're looking forward to?
In terms of capturing, I want to sort of capture, I suppose, intimacy. It's making me think of the podcast that I listened to of yours.
Not the Swingers podcast. Do you ever worry before a shoot?
Every shoot that I do, whether it's, David Bowie, I always have that healthy anxiety. Like, it's just allowing them to be themselves. Or just trying to capture that authenticness of them that could be behind a bit of a mask. Some people just perform the whole time, don't they? Which could still be a mask.
The Sail Away Uncensored Cruise podcast.
You have photographed some of the biggest names in music. You've done the Rolling Stones, Foo Fighters, David Bowie. What draws you to capturing musicians?
Well, I didn't set out to do it like straight away, but I kind of fell into it after going to uni and studying photography, and that's literally all I've ever done is photograph since I was 20. I started assisting a few different photographers who were working in the music industry, and then because I was doing it and meeting people, it just kind of snowballed on from there. But obviously you've got to have the passion and the drive to make it a career that lasts 30 years. It's not easy, but yeah.
How do you approach photography working with rock stars? Do you prefer stage shoots or do you enjoy capturing candid moments?
I enjoy both because, well, and even live photography, that's good fun and really full of energy. Well, mostly. But the stage ones feel like really your own, something that you've crafted, and it's about that connection with the person and trying to draw out something that goes beyond just a photograph, I feel. But then Fly on the Wall is definitely a happy place because I can just be uninterrupted, like just, unnoticed almost, and just... Well, the camera that I've got now is purely silent as well, so no one knows what I'm doing. I could be shooting like 100 frames a second, and no one would know. So it's I really enjoy that because you can home in on moments that you're just observing.
Is there one artist or a particular shoot that you've done that is your favourite or was really challenging?
Do you know what? They all have stories. Like if you said to me, "Oh, tell me about this shoot," I'd be able to ramble on and go, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard to pin it down to one. But there was one guy who used to be the guitarist in the early incarnation of Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green, and he became a recluse in later life. And the mission to try and reach him to be in a project that I did called Resonators was so huge that when I actually got to do it, and he trusted me to do it, that just felt like such an honor. And so things like that can mean a lot, and it's not necessarily, I've had some shoots where I've had to wait and just change, set something up, and then the light changes, and then you have to think of something else, and constantly be on your toes, and then it doesn't happen.
Do you ever worry before a shoot? Do you ever have a slight moment where you've done it so long now, but do you ever kind of go, oh, what if I don't get that shot or that moment? Do you ever have that slight fear?
Well, I always, every shoot that I do, whether it's for David Bowie or just a regular person that I'm shooting, I always have that healthy anxiety that I think helps you show up and do a good job, actually, because you worry. I always have double, 2 cameras, extra battery, everything has to be covered, just in case, make sure I'm there early. Well, so it's a positive thing. It's not overwhelming. And actually the whole process of photography as well takes you on a bit of a journey, because even when you're shooting, you're like, oh, am I going to get it? And then by the end you go, yes. And it's sort of like a nice sort of highs and lows. And
photography's changed fundamentally over the years, what with digital technology and social media. Do you think that photography has got better, and has it introduced new challenges?
So when I first started, you would literally go to a shoot your session, take the film to a lab, come back 24 hours later, and then make a selection. They do the prints, and maybe you get them biked to the client. And that was pretty much, so you on to the next shoot all the time. But now there is a lot more that we have to do as photographers. So I have to be an editor, a retoucher, a social media manager. I sort of represent myself. And so there's a lot. And just sort of getting through the email inbox in the morning can be like take up half the day,
Yeah.
So it's about really you've got to still make sure that you put time in to be creative and not just get bogged down on all the admin and all the other roles that you've got to do, because it is a lot more, I feel. But it's amazing because digital is so immediate, and that comes with its own challenges, because people think, well, we can have them like straight away, and it's like, well, like I need to edit and retouch, and just give me a minute. And even when you're shooting, sometimes you're tethered, so it comes up on a screen. But I kind of don't like that. I'm like, just I like to gatekeep my images for a little while.
In the moment, then, will you kind of just shoot and look later?
Yeah, I prefer to just get on with the shoot without the interruptions of people going, everyone's sort of reviewing the whole time. It's like, well, I'd like to just do it, and then I can edit it myself in sort of on my own. Well, I mean, sometimes that's not practical, and you have to do it because there's directors or whatever that need to see. But yeah.
If you could photograph anyone from history, musician or otherwise, who would it be and why?
I would say Marilyn Monroe, because she was all over my walls, along with James Dean, actually, and a few people like Duran Duran. But Marilyn Monroe particularly, there was something very vulnerable in her imagery as well as super glamorous and beautiful woman. But yeah, I would like to have had my 5 minutes with Marilyn Monroe.
It's amazing how you can look at an image and a singular image can convey such emotion. And
100%, yeah.
What's your secret to getting people to open up in front of the camera?
It's all about trying to connect with them, isn't it? I think, reassuring. I go into every shoot thinking that people hate having their photograph taken, which I do. So immediately I'm trying to put people at ease. Some people love it actually, but at the same, still just want to connect and sort of let them know I'm human. I'm not going to bark orders at them, and just sort of allow them that freedom to sort of be themselves, or just have conversation while I'm shooting, and then I sort of get what I want. I mean, there's some bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers that you just kind of have to allow them to do what they do. You wouldn't go into that shoot and go, right, could you stand here in that, because it's just not them. They just kind of, it becomes messy in a brilliant way where there's just chaos and you just capture it. So I kind of...
Do you like having control over a photo shoot then? Or would you rather it be, like you said, kind of little unhinged and it happens how it happens?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's just allowing them to be themselves, or just trying to capture that authenticness of them that could be behind a bit of a mask. So whichever way it comes, some people just perform the whole time, don't they?
Yeah.
Which could still be a mask.
Could be. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone that wants to start getting into photography, or they're in it and they don't really know how to progress?
You've just got to show your passion, and you've just got to keep, I would say, take pictures every day, have some plans and project, like your own, even if you're not getting commissioned, have your own projects that you're working towards. Like every weekend, do some, like say if it was people or street photography, every weekend, go somewhere and take some pictures just for an hour or whatever. Keep putting them out on social media, approaching people, online magazines, or depending what you want to do, obviously. But yeah, it's just about showing that you are living and breathing it, I guess.
How many photos do you think you've got on your camera roll?
What, on my archives?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, I've been digitizing my old negatives, which I think I was shooting up until about 2005 on negative solely, and I'm only on H. Like it's twice a week we are digitizing.
Wow. And
that's not even all the raw files of digital pictures. So there's a lot.
So let's talk about what you're here for.
Yeah.
And I'd like to really discuss how you've become involved with Fred Olsen Cruise Lines and their Moments Crew initiative.
Well, I was approached by Fred Olsen to be one of 3 artists in residence, and when they told me who the other artists in residence were, I was like, really? And me? So it's Jim Muir and Jenny Eclair, and well, not only are they brilliant, but they're hilarious as well. So, that's no pressure. So yeah, and really the brief being, to do what I do and sort of capture those moments is just like I was like, well, this is amazing because this is what I really love doing, people watching and, capturing the essence of what people are experiencing, big and small, everything.
Yeah. But you've never done a Fred Olsen cruise, have you?
I have never.
You're in for a treat. Yeah.
And I'm so excited just to be a passenger as well, So
their ships have just got such a homely feel to
cozy,
and they're not glitzy and like glamorous like some of the ships you go on that are like that. But Fred Olsen, I mean, they are. It just feels like it just feels at home. Like you go to a lounge and they've got blankets there waiting for you to put on yourself.
The crew are nothing but friendly and helpful.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
you go the extra mile on there.
The service is amazing. You won't find friendlier crew.
And I think a lot of people go back again and again. And actually, a really good friend of mine I saw the other week, and she also goes on Fred Olsen. I didn't know, and we were talking. She was telling me stuff. I was going, so what happens with the gym? And I was trying to get all the tips before I actually go as a sort of passenger as well. But I'm really excited. I feel very lucky.
So how does this project compare to the past work you've done in music and portraits and photography? How will it marry up?
I feel like it's quite similar because I'm just turning what I do to a different setting, and I photograph people all the time. And, certainly the people that I am photographing will know that I'm doing it because I think they're entering a ballot. And so there's going to be some people chosen that I will connect with, actually. And so, obviously I will, want to spend some time with them, but also then just sort of, we'll have a little plan of what we're going to do, but ultimately it's not about anything that's staged. It's not like, oh, here we're going into dinner and we're posing. It's not that at all. It's really sort of capturing those, just the joy and the experience. And, and that's the thing. I don't even know quite what that's going to be yet because...
How exciting, though.
I know.
That's really exciting.
You know what? When it comes to photography, I much prefer not really knowing. A bit sort of like, well, here are all the ingredients, a bit like Ready, Steady, Cook, but sort of photography styly here, and now just go and make it happen. And really, there's not much I have to do apart from watch and capture. And it's going to be making memories as well, of like trips of lifetime for some people that are there. So it's, I think
so when is the cruise and where are you headed?
It's in July, and I'm going to the Azores and Madeira and Lisbon.
We love those.
We love them. It's beautiful there.
Madeira particularly. I lost count how many times I've been to Madeira.
Yeah, so I think the treats in store are wine tasting. Is that in Madeira? Is that Madeira is famous for Madeira?
Yeah.
Is it all red wine?
It does kind of tilt more onto red wine. But we've also done incredible whale watching tours in Madeira and the Azores.
I think, whale watching is one of the highlights, and you always think, well, will we? But if we do, that's just going to be incredible.
Keep fingers crossed, because we've done some excellent whale watching tours.
Well, we expected to see nothing, and I think you have to go with the expectations to not see anything, so you're not disappointed. And then when you do, it's a real treat. It is magical when they do.
What are the big and small moments that you're looking forward to most, though?
I think in terms of capturing, I want to sort of capture sort of, I suppose, intimacy. It's making me think of the podcast that I listened to of yours.
Not the Swingers podcast. It's not that.
Everything's been tarnished now. No. But you know what I mean? Just like sort of the rapport between... I mean, I won't necessarily always be shooting couples. It might be someone traveling on their own, but just sort of their own connections. And, I suppose I don't quite know what I'm going to be faced with, but it could just be quiet moments. It could be sort of, a beautiful black and white image of them reading and, with the light coming through. I think the light is going to be a big player because, again, that can sort of almost be cinematic, can't it? So I'm just really open. I'm not sort of putting too much, sort of in my mind as a brief. It's just really going to sort of open itself out as it happens. And,
I think that's so exciting, though. I really think it is. Like when we go on a ship sometimes that we've never been on and we're going to review it or stuff, I try not to look into it because I want to go on with a fresh mind, fresh pair of eyes to review it and see what I'm going to see. So
it's quite a nice feeling being surprised sometimes. Like,
well, that's it. I'm also experiencing through their experience, and that's something I really get from photography as well. Is like, a lot of the encounters, the shoots, like how do I choose my favorite one? But they all give me memories as well, and it's like even if it's I don't know, a charity shoot or something, and not a famous person, again, it's just all sort of lived experiences, and I know I'll take away quite a lot from it, as well as the people that I'm just sort of reflecting what I'm seeing as well.
But something I think you will love, as someone that has not cruised before, it's one of our biggest loves, is the ever-changing view. The view is changing constantly, and you get to see just so many different things every day.
Your dream cruise, just a click away. From luxury liners to no-fi cruises, supercruises.com makes booking simple and stress-free. Book now at supercruises.com and set sail on the trip of a lifetime. Get up to 10% off when using the code SAILAWAY10. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you think makes a great travel photograph?
Because I'm not a landscape photographer, I think for me it would be light. And, like morning, I have travelled before and got up for the sunrise because that's pretty special, but you have to sort of force yourself out of bed to get that picture, or even the sunset, Well, and also, when I'm travelling, there's nothing wrong with a selfie stick. Yeah. I mean, as a family, I remember when my husband got a selfie stick, I was like, oh, no, that's really, this is quite a long time ago now. But now, it's like, well, it's a great way of just grabbing a shot. I mean, selfies are a whole different genre of photography. Yeah. They're actually really good. Yeah. And I think, sometimes people look better in a selfie than a formal shot. You're just sort of somehow a bit more relaxed and, but it's like even school photos are a different genre, but they're still really valid and great. But I think for me, I mean, I'm a funny one. When I go traveling, I will take pictures with my camera. I try not to use my phone because I enjoy sort of taking the time and space to do that. I didn't for a long time because with kids around, it was just too much distraction and I couldn't take my big cameras. But sometimes I just go, right, I'm shooting it all in black and white, which my kids go, why? We're in California and you're shooting everything in black and white. That just doesn't make sense. Yeah. But, I'll set myself almost like a little project. Yeah. Yeah. So even, traveling, that's kind of what I do.
When you travel, though, will you try and film things, destinations, or will you try and incorporate, again, like a person?
Like I did a big California road trip in this last summer, and we went to like Joshua Tree in Yosemite. So there was an element of landscape, even though I'm not a brilliant landscape photographer. Yeah. But it would be things like, a father and son, sort of looking out over a pier or something, so definitely.
Little moments.
Little moments.
Yeah.
Or in Morocco recently, I went to Morocco and I would try and, engage with some of the shopkeepers or, people in the souk selling things. And actually I love... approaching people I don't know to take photographs is harder for me than doing commissions.
Nervous.
I do.
Someone and saying, do you mind having a photo taken?
Yeah, it's a bit like making yourself a bit vulnerable because they could say no, and then you're like, oh, I feel a bit embarrassed. But no, I'm sort of getting better at that. But I really enjoy it, and I love street photography. Like my Instagram is full, and I'm always saving. But I find it harder. But then that's good. It's good to push yourself.
It challenges you,
definitely.
So.
Will your guests have the chance to interact with you whilst on board?
Well, yes, actually, because I'm doing an audience with. So I'll be doing a talk of like my career to date, basically how I started and journey all the way through, and the people that I photographed, and there'll be Q&A, and so hopefully then some people might talk to me afterwards and say, right, how do I do this?
Have you ever had someone not know who you were? You've had a camera and they've kind of gone, you should do this.
I've arrived at a photo studio and people have said, "No, makeup room's over there," and I'm like, "This is my shoot." I think when they see my cameras, because I've got quite good ones, I think they're a bit like, "Oh,
Yeah, she knows what she's doing.
oh yeah, she does."
What's your personal favourite?
Well, I've got a few. At the moment, I use a Nikon Z8 and a Z9. But for like, say, holiday mode, I'll use a ZF, which is much smaller, and it's sort of it's kind of modelled on my first ever film camera, and I have a small lens on it, a 40mm, and it's just great. It's not like having a big lens and you're sort of people, feel intimidated.
So how many are you taking on the Fred Olsen cruise?
Always going to be 2, isn't it? In case one fails, which they never fail, but there's just always that fear, and then probably 3 lenses. I mean, the problem is having, you always think, oh, I might need this one.
I'm like, just packing clothes.
Yeah, a bit of that as well.
Kitchen sink by the time I'm done.
And the problem is with cruising is that you can take unlimited bags. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can take as much as you want.
And we normally do.
Yes. So what do you hope guests take away from having their special moments captured by you?
Well, I want tears. I want. No, I'm joking. No, but I really want to. It's the same with many shoots. I don't want people to be happy, and I want to hopefully capture something that really was, a cherished memory from something that they will never forget. Life is too short, and you need to remember the great stuff.
Absolutely.
As much as you can.
Well, I understand that there's a ballot that closes on Friday, 28th of February. Where people can apply and they could win to have sessions with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically if you book on the cruise, which is the Azores, Madeira, Lisbon, and you have the opportunity to enter a ballot, and there's a number of sessions, which is, what we've been talking about. It's just this really lovely capturing of moments situation and time connecting with me. No, but it's so it's that's it. It closes very soon, so if you want to get in there, you've got to be in it.
I can't wait to see the photos after. I'm really excited to see them.
Bless you.
I'm absolutely
well, again, now I'm getting the nerves. Like,
You should be. I'm messaging the day. I hope you're breaking it. Be scared.
And before you go, we're just going to do some quick fire questions.
Yep.
Are you a cruise person, or will this be a new experience for you?
I'm a cruise virgin.
Cruise virgin, okay.
So yeah, this is a brand new experience for me. I have done a lot of travelling, but this is why I'm so excited.
What's one destination that's on your bucket list to photograph?
Oh, I think I'd love to go to Vietnam. I travelled quite extensively through China in the early 90s, and I don't think it was so accessible at that point. But there's landscapes that I saw in China that I think I've seen very similar in Vietnam.
If you could only use one camera and one lens for the rest of time, what would it be?
Oh, God. I think because currently I'm enjoying using my ZF, which is a small mirrorless with a 40mm. That's really quite versatile. It's great for portraiture. It's good for landscapes. Maybe I'd have to go with that. It's quite small, not too heavy. But that's a really mean question.
I had to do it.
How do you personally like to experience a destination? Through the lens or by stepping back and soaking it all in?
Well, I think to experience the destination would have to be soaking it in, because through the lens, I'm generally focusing on people rather than the whole picture. So, yeah, just really, being present, especially in this age, it's very important to sort of just be rather than keep doing and being on your phones and, or even take a picture the whole time. I think it's important to just breathe it in, experience, and yeah.
Finally, what's next for you? Any exciting projects other than your time with Fred Olsen?
Glastonbury and summer festivals and things like that. And I've got a book project which hasn't been announced yet, but that's coming out this year. And working with Abbey Road as a judge for Music Photography Awards as well. Yeah, so really exciting year ahead.
Oh, fantastic.
Scarlett, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The Sail Away Uncensored Cruise podcast.